Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome back to the Breakevens podcast. My name is Corey, and with me is a very sick Jack.
Hello.
So, Jack, we think, has the Rona. So, if he doesn't seem himself today or sounds a bit funny, it's because the man is sick. So, hopefully you get better soon. It's just unfortunate you got it today, so you're in the bad part of it. So, but talking footy, so round 6 done and dusted, and what a crazy hectic round we've just had. It was a terrible round if you were a ruckman.
Oh,
All right, listen to these names, Jack. Tim English, Hugh Dixon, Jack Hayes, Rowan Marshall, Mark Pinedt, Brody Grundy, Shrek, Sean, Darcy all went down this week. English and Dixon we knew about before the bounce on Friday, but injured. Hayes, ACL. You hate to see it. My boy, been on him. He made us his 150k. He had probably about another 75 to 80k left in him, but unfortunately that won't be happening. So thank you for your service, Mr. Jack Hayes. Rowan Marshall had a corky and did not look great afterwards. He should be okay.
yeah, the cold weather didn't help.
Yeah.
It was in Canberra, so it would have been freezing.
Yes, definitely. Mark Pinedt and Brody Grundy both gone down with PCL injuries. So 10 to 12 weeks. I'm pretty sure Pinedt needs surgery, but it looks like Grundy does not need surgery.
They're both listed 10 to 12 still.
But yeah, that unfortunately doesn't bring down the time out of the game. So 10 to 12 weeks, which could be good for a few other ruckmen, which I'll talk about later. And Sean Shrek Darcy concussed, so he's only
Copped an accidental boot to the head by Charlie Curnow.
Yeah, so not great if you're a ruckman. And I don't know about you, Jack, but I've changed my trades about 9 times just because people just keep going down. People are getting injured.
I told you I had a total of about 6 people I probably had to trade. One that I was worried about came back pretty good, which is good, but I was worried with history.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say it was shattering to see Paddy McCartan get another concussion. Apparently, it was more of a precaution thing because he had a few head knocks, and you could see in the footage that we have that he really wanted to go back on, and he thought he could, but because he's had.
He tried to appeal the week off?
Yeah.
But the AFL said you subbed him for concussion, so he has to have the week.
Yeah. So obviously he had 8 and now 9 concussions, which isn't great. So hopefully it's just a 1 weeker and he gets back out and plays, because he's been looking good in his new role. So fingers crossed for that. As always, thank you all for your ongoing support. We haven't been super active this week. Life's been busy. I haven't had COVID, so I've been working more. And apart from all the rucks going down, there wasn't too much to talk about. So, but you can find us on Twitter at Breakevens Pod, and we're on YouTube and Apple Podcasts at the Breakevens. So today's podcast, we're just doing the same old. Okay, we're going to review last week's rounds. We're going to give you our hot and colds, the Breakevens, because trade season, it's next second week of trade season. So there's a few primos that we can get and a few rookies that have to go. And if you're in Jack's side, that's half his team. And as always, at the start, we'll go through our personal teams and what we're thinking going forward. And obviously the break-even side we'll give an update on as well. So Jack, how did you score this week, my friend?
Oh, not great.
Not great.
2067.
Ooh, okay.
Didn't help that I fielded Hayes.
Yeah, that didn't help me either.
That was one. Rookies underperformed this week. O'Driscoll 42, Nash 56, Nick Dacos 71, Horn Francis was at like 60, Cherry 68, Rochelle 35, even though he didn't get on. But then I had Butters, who had his 1 week holiday and then he's come back to reality.
Yeah, didn't help that he had a stomach bug, but he played for us, which was good because we didn't have much cover because of all bloody injuries.
And Lipinski was very lazy on the weekend.
Soft
is a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
So like apart from my defense, and vice captain and captain options had their worst games of the season.
Yeah.
Can't forget about that.
So what are your trades looking like? I know we were chatting just as before.
Well, as you saw, Grundy was gone. I was thinking Laddams is probably a smart choice with his high scores, his price, and his break even. You said you donut. And you said to jump on Bruce at his price and his scores, and with Hickey's injury, he'll be back soon, so Laddam's role will change. So I jumped on Bruce for Grundy.
Yep.
Then I went big, the Hornet up to Clary.
Yep.
And then I've gone Hayes for Hayes just to have players playing really instead of worrying about upgrading people who are going to play this week.
Yep. And that left you with a big chunk of money as well, didn't it, for next week?
So I started this week with about 210 to 230k in the bank to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've brought in Clary and I've gained over 100k in my bank. I've got 371,000 left.
Yeah.
So from next week, I've probably got a couple of big upgrades I can do.
Yep. Awesome. And quickly, what are you thinking about for vice captain and captain for this week?
Vice, I'm going Clary against the Hawk. He's going to run free again this week. They really don't have a tagger. And captain, even though he had a poor game this week, I've kept it on McRae.
Yep.
I'm backing him in. One bad game, he's going to bounce back.
Yep.
Especially against the Bombers.
Yep. No, agree. So I've had a few quiet rounds the last few weeks score-wise, and unfortunately that continued last week with a score of 2,118, which means I've dropped 5,582 places, and now I'm season ranked at 17,119. I was expecting a quiet week this week as I decided to keep English, and with Hugh Dixon out, I decided to keep him as well. So I was forced to field players like Rochelle and Jack Hayes, which we know how that ended. But I'm looking to get back to my winning ways with I'm using my second trade boost this week. At the moment, what I'm thinking is Grundy to Sam Hayes.
Because you've got Bruce already and another ruckman that you can switch in.
So Grundy to Hayes, Jack Hayes to Roses if he plays, And then Rochelle will go up to Clary. I did have here depending on COVID, because there was rumours going around he'd be out with COVID, but he's not. So Clary is in this week for me, which leaves me with, I think it's about 300 to 400 odd K left over, which I could double upgrade next week, similar to you, Jack. And VC and C options, I've gone the exact same. I think Clary against the Hawks. I'm not expecting a 168, but I am expecting like a 135 to 140. And Captain McRae, last time he scored 92, I didn't go him for vice captain, and he went 150 plus. So I'm not making that mistake again. He's gone 92, which means he's going to go big this round, just in case Clary doesn't. So that's my team. As we'll quickly move on to the break evens, the highest scoring team this round between the three sides scored 2,209. So that means we went up 7,311 places, and now over an overall of 44,950. Unfortunately, we were forced to field Rochelle, and had the emergency on Hayes, because we brought in Roses and kept him. So we had Hayes' score and not the Conning score of 66. So we missed out on a huge chunk of points there. Trade-wise for the break-evens, we spoke about this the other day, Jack. We're looking at Grundy to Sam Hayes and Rochelle to Clary, because that team does not have English, which I think we were looking to get him in at some stage soon, but we hadn't got him yet, which is good, because then we would have had to have wasted another trade. So with that being said, that's the break-evens team. So let's get into these game reviews and the hot and cold. So did you have game one, Jack?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah, Giants and Saints. Saints won by 17.
They did.
The hot, you got Cal Ward 123, Matty Flynn 122, Proust 117, Tom Green 108. I have to specify Tom Green now because Toby was back.
Yep.
Nick Haynes 104, Adam Kennedy 103, and for the Saints still had 140. He went big.
Yes.
Snags Higgins had 129. I think he kicked 5 or 6 for the game. He probably had the best game of his career. Seb Ross 117, Jack Sinclair 112, Dougal Howard 105, and Josh Battle 100.
Yeah,
down.
I'd just like to point out, you did say Steele was a very, very good option for that VC, and he did score very well. So,
and I should have listened to myself.
Yeah.
Getting in the cold, Toby Green started his season off for 60.
Yeah.
Not sure what you should make of it. It's his first game. He'll probably build into his season. Tim Taranto, 63. Toby Green back. It looked like he was sat forward for the whole game. Looked like his role got worse.
Yeah.
Lockie Whitfield, 65. Back to his best.
The most frustrating man on my team.
Then we had Josh Kelly, 93. Now, I'm not just saying this because I have him in my team, but I thought his game was a lot better than a score of 93. I feel like he was done dirty. He should have been at least been 105 to 111, I'd say.
Yep.
With his poor ball use that goes there. If not, it's a 120 plus game.
Yep.
Ryan Marshall was injured, like we said, could play this week. Jack Hayes ACL. The the man, the myth, the legend, Windhagger, another poor performance with 51. I'd say he's not really an option now. And then Jade Gresham with a 76.
Yep.
Going into the break evens, Bruce minus 46. Finn Callahan minus 9. I think he scored in the 80s last game. And that was his second game, so with his price, I probably wouldn't go him, but he does look like an exciting player. Tim Tarrant 0, 150.
Yeah, no chance.
And yes, I just realised I put Tarrant 0 instead of Taranto. So if you're looking to get him in that 150 break even, you're smiling like, yes, he's dropping more.
Yep.
Because I don't see him getting 100, let alone 150 this week. Cogs has a break even of 61. He's going to get that. He's really looking like someone who's going to stay in the forward lines. People who are looking at the 63 and like, 61, sorry, and like, we need to trade him soon. I'd keep him in. He's averaging 96.5 as a forward.
The only reason you trade him is if we get like a Dangerfield or a Bont forward DPP, and they're looking to run back through that midfield. That's the only reason why you would trade Cogs out. But that's like,
or if he gets injured.
Yeah. Yes. We hope that doesn't happen.
Yes, of course. Kelly 103. I'd say I would back him to get it, but with how he got scored last week and the Supercoach bias against him, he might not get that. Which I might have to call up Harold Sun about because that was bullshit. Jack Sinclair 106. Yeah, look, I think he gets it. Probably not by much, but he gets that. Jack Steele 107. He'll get that. And Jade Gresham 63, who I also think will get that.
Yep, awesome. So that was it for that game?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'll move on to game 2, the Doggies versus the Crows. I tipped a Dogs win, like most people would, and they lost by a point. Tex Walker kicked the goal very late to put the Crows in front. So the Crows by 1, which is very surprising. It's not looking great for the Dogs. Obviously, they'll still make finals, but getting a push.
Inaccurate kicking has let them down again.
Yeah,
it
was back.
If they don't get that inaccurate kicking sorted, they probably will miss out on the 8.
Yep. All right, so we'll go straight into the hots. So Josh Dunkley was the man to VC or C last week, 142.
You were 2 weeks early.
Yeah, I was 2 weeks early. A new DPP player who got forward status that we spoke about last week with Lockie Hunter out, that was Tom Liberatore, 137. If we start to see that a bit more, he could be a very good pod option in that forward line. Bailey Dale, 121, and Trelaw scraped to 104. And for the Crows, Rob, who's been on a bit of a heater as of late, 133. Your boy Ben Keys, 129, still going strong. Billy Frampton, 124.
He's looking very good in that defensive role.
Yeah,
he's averaging 90 something. I think it's 96. He's got it as an average.
Yep. Yeah, so can he keep that up? I don't think so. Rory Laird, 123. And Texan Walker, 103, probably got scaled up a lot because of that game-winning goal. The Colds, I've put McRae here, 92, because it's McRae. Caleb Daniels, 67. And I'll put Robbie McComb, who played his first game, scored 37. Was it you who was telling me, Jack, that if he just fixed up his kicking a bit more, that could have been like a 65, 70.
Yes. Yeah, he went at like 35% disposal efficiency, roughly. I'm probably wrong, but it was very poor, which brought his score down a lot.
Yep. So let's just hope that was, first game jitters. But I've got him in my side. I went early on him just to free up some cash. So hopefully he gets a bit more and scores a bit more. And the colds for the Crows, I put Jordan Dawson with 81 because we expect a bit more, and Josh Rochelli's 35.
Jimmy Rowe.
As we move into the break even, so I've put McComb's one in here just because he's 102k and could be someone to look for. So after one game, his break even is 3. Adam Treloar 79, Josh Dunkley 90, Libba 91, Baz Smith 97, Caleb Daniel 105, McRae 152, and Bont with 157. You think everyone gets that except for Daniel, McRae, and Bont. As we move,
you don't think McRae gets 150 this week? And you said he could. No. Last time he went big for 150 after a score of 90.
Yes, just because he went 150 last time after a lower score doesn't mean he's going to.
Means he's going 250.
And for the Crows, I've put this guy in because he could be back, but Mitch Hinge 27, Rob 55, Walker 67, Michelle 85, no chance of that. Matt Crouch 86, Ben Keys 108, Dawson 126, and Laird 127. Just before I go on to Jack, who had Port Adelaide West Coast, Tim English, it's been they've come out and said he's still 3 to 4 weeks away, so he's probably
the injury list said 2 to 3.
Yeah, no, it's 3 to 4 now. They said it just before. So, as we move on, Jack, who had Port Adelaide and West Coast.
Port Adelaide versus the Eagles. It's a pretty poor game, to be honest. If you're a Port fan, you loved it. Eagles fan, you hated it. Neutral AFL fan, you didn't really like it as well because it was all one-sided. Getting into the hots, Connor Rozee, 153. He's finally showed up and showed what he showed in pre-season. Todd Marshall, 141. And Jeremy Finlayson, 138. Probably their games of their careers. I put them together because they both kicked 5 goals and were massive for Port Adelaide. Dan Houston, 124. He's showing that he's a very good option down back and very consistent so far, where he's usually been 1 week up, 1 week down in the past.
Yep.
Willem Drew, 121. Again, he's a sneaky player that's consistently performing well. Trav Boak, 118. And I put Sam Hayes in there with the 94 in his second game.
Yep.
For the Eagles, Witherden, 152. Another mid-price defender who's really shown his worth.
McGovern back this week though, so don't know if his scoring continues there.
I don't think he scores the 150s again, but I think he will still be 95 plus. He showed it at Brisbane when they played him. He was always turning up, always being good, and then Chris Fagan would always drop him. And lastly, Luke Shuey, 102. Getting into the colds, Robbie Gray was injured. Was it a hamstring or was that his old injury?
I think it was a hamstring, yeah.
Zach Butters, 58, like we both said earlier. Ollie Wines, 99. You'd think that's usually a good score, but Wines, we want that 110 plus. or at least the minimum 100. And yes, it's 1 point off, but
it's not good
what
enough,
can
Jack.
yeah, not good at all.
I've got him in draft. It was not good enough.
And then for the Eagles, no one, because they're all shit. Willie Rioli, 33. Are you thankful that I told you not to pull the trigger on him now?
Yeah.
And Paddy Nash, we expect that 70 plus from him, and he dropped a 56. He might have had a poor disposal game because his dream thing was around that 80 mark like usual.
Yeah. There was a few errant kicks, and I think a few he got like bumped or tackled as he kicked and got out on the full, which means it's a -4. So
getting into the break-evens, very small because it was very hard to find people who were like massive in this game. I guess you'd say like I need to know his break-even type people.
yeah.
I'll put Sam Hayes -97.
Yep.
He's gonna go up massively
Yep.
this week, especially if he scores that 94. That's almost 100k in a week.
Yep.
Zach Butters 67. You'd think he gets it.
Yep.
But with Butters, you never know. This year he's been a bit up and down. Nash 64. Yeah, he scored 56 last week, but I back him in to get it.
Yep.
His cash gen is running up, but he has done what we want from 190k, and he's going to be at least 340k.
Yep.
So he's done a good job. And then I just had to prove my point. Willie Rioli break even of 109. He's just trade him out now.
Yep.
And that's all I had on the game.
Yep, no worries. Just quickly on Butters. Yeah, it's been a very inconsistent season, but he's copped a lot of knocks early, some from own teammates, been sick. It's not ideal, but he's someone that you should keep because he's going to be top 8 forward by the end and most likely top 6. So I'll move on to the Freo versus Carlton game. The Dockers won by 35. They're looking very good. So the hots for them, Lob 120, Luke Ryan, I told you he'd have his ton game this week, 109. Schultz 109 as well. Brother of Hamish, Andy Brayshaw, 104, and Will Brody again with no 103. We've guess what, Jack? A low time on ground. As we move over to Carlton, for those who traded Cripps, you're a moron, 139. Didn't look like anything changed. Adam Chera finally decided to show up, 132. Sam Dockery, 122. Jacob Wiedering, Jack, 119. That's more what you're looking for. Georgie Hewitt, 114. Just keeps chugging along. Sard, 107. Walsh, 106. Lewis Young, 102. And I've put Tom DeCon in here with 97. And I'll speak to him in a second. Speak about him in a second. The colds for Freo, I've put Shrek Darcy here just because, as we said at the start, concussion, so he's out for a week, but he scored a 94 anyway. Caleb Strong, 70, and Nathan O'Driscoll, 42, which isn't ideal, but I'd still back him in. And for the Blues, Mark Pinedt, 17, as I said as well, PCL, and Corey Durden had a high 14. As we move on to the break evens, O'Driscoll 22, Chapman 57, should be back this week because it was only health and safety. Brody still 64. You think he'd smash that? Ryan 87. He turned up last week, so I don't think he'll get that 87. And Andy Brayshaw, brother of Hamish, 110. As we move over to Carlton, Tom DeCon in 13. Charlie Curnow 34, Chera 55, Durden 60. Don't think he'll get that. It's on the jump off. Wheaterine 62, George Hewitt 86, Sam Walsh 118, Cribs 125, and Sam Doherty 128. So you'd think most of those would get that. Now, Tom DeConning, he is the lone ruckman basically now.
Nah, Lewis Young
Yeah, but
will be the second. They will switch between the two of them.
yeah, but he'll be playing basically centre half back. So the Conan will be the number one ruck, right? That's what I'm getting at. He'll be the number one ruck, which means we could see a boost in his scores in the next 10 to 12 weeks. Let me quickly check. I thought I put this down, but obviously not because I'm a moron. So let's go Rux Carlton. 333k forward ruck. He's averaging 67 at the moment, but we could see that jump up. And he could definitely average 95 plus over the next 10 to 12 weeks, which could be great for those looking to do a risky pod move. I personally wouldn't get him, but if you're looking, if he's forward ruck, then could be someone to look at there, but should be number one ruck, and we could see a big spike in his scores.
Could be a replacement for English for people who fought like you with the ruck in the forward line to switch.
Yeah.
If they don't have Cherry.
Yeah. Which Cherry might be dropped this week, by the way, but I'll get into that after you've finished taking that game, which is North Melbourne versus Geelong.
Geelong won by 60.
Close one.
Bit low of a margin for Geelong against the worst team in the comp. You'd want that 80, 90 plus win if you're a genuine contender. Nah, I'm just having a laugh. Hot Luke McDonald 102, and that is all for North Melbourne. Jeremy Cameron 131, Zach Tui 130, Reece Stanley 121. He's looking like a sneaky pod ruckman choice. I think he's averaging around that 1.5, 1.10 range. So, and he keeps putting scores out like this, he's going to be up there, top 3-4 rucks by the end of the season. Tom Hawkins, 119. Tom Atkins, 106. And we said the man had to do it, and he delivered. Tyson Stengel, 101. He got the ton.
Yeah, but it doesn't count because it was against North Melbourne. I could ton up against North Melbourne.
It counts with his break even, but
it does.
What's your break even at?
Negative 69.
Colds for North Melbourne, I put Cherry and the Hornet 68 and 65. No one else in that North Melbourne team's a real looking to get, I don't believe. And then for the Cats, the only one Cold that I had that like you could worry about was Mitch Duncan 86.
Yeah.
Danger didn't play, and no one else with Geelong that didn't turn up. No one cares about.
Yep.
Break evens, Tom Stewart 105. Tyson Stengel down to 21. So it's probably not as big as that people were hoping with the ton, but it's still back down and gives you a couple of weeks.
It just shows these rookies, you might think, they're done, but then they bring out a surprise ton and it just kickstarts their generation again.
The Hornet 83. I don't think he gets it.
No,
I think he got over that once in his 99 game. And then Cherry 30, he's still got a few weeks to go. Obviously, if he gets dropped, that ain't good.
Yeah.
That is all I had.
Yep. So rumours are CCJ, they're looking to bring him in. I don't see him dropping Goldie, so there's a chance Cherry might have a week rest, or drop because last week wasn't a great game for him, but it wasn't like a shocker. So yeah, that could happen, or they play 3 tools again, which isn't great for Cherry, especially when he's not rucking. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully he still gets games and CCJ doesn't play, but he's been kicking some goals in the VFL, so he might be too hard to pass up that opportunity. So yeah, keep an eye out on the teams tomorrow night at 6:20. So I had the next game. I had the Suns versus the Lions. The Lions won by 52, pretty comfortable. So we'll move on to the hots for the Suns. Jack, you'll be very happy with this first name. Jared Witts, 143. Massive.
Best ruckman in the comp.
Ainsworth, 115. Matt Rowell bounced back with 103. And
that was one tweet we did.
Yep.
About Rao, which I saw, I think it was 26% said they kept him.
Yep.
So that 26% will be pretty happy with that.
Definitely. And Noah Anderson, I have 10 here, but I know for a fact he's got 100. So
10, great fucking score.
He's running hot. No, that 10's running hot only if you're Aiden Bonner. Zach Bailey, 135. I think he kicked 5 goals, was everywhere. The Suitcase McCluggage, 113. Jared Lyons, 110. Lockie Neal, 108. Charlie Cameron, 108. Daniel Rich, 106. And Lincoln McCarthy, 103. As we move to the Colds, I've put Tuk there. He scored 99, so similar to Wines. We just expect a lot more. And I was looking because he's got a big-ish break even. Took is now 100k less than what he started at. So if you were like me and you decided to go Took over Clary,
or Steele or McRae.
Well, yeah, if you've gone anyone, if you've gone Took over any of those guys, it's probably not looking great points wise and money wise. But he's a primo, so you're not going to drop him. And I've put Powell here 44 just because I know Jack likes to keep up with how he's going.
I was so happy when I saw that.
I've followed you here, Jack. I've meant to put the big O, but I've put the big 0. He scored 64. Marcus Adams, 49. So we were chatting about can he keep it up? And I said, no, he'll have these lower scores. So there's one. And I put Kai Lohman there. He played his second game, scored 32. But he's out for 6 weeks with a high-grade ankle sprain. So we'll move on to the break evens. So I've put Roses in because he's a chance to play, -71. Matt Rowell, 66. Jared Witts, 77. Noah Anderson, 89. And Took Miller, 130. You'd think they'd all get that, maybe not Miller, but just depends.
Rowell's a 50-50 as well.
I reckon Rowell.
I'd back him in to get it over not getting it, but with this season, he can easily drop a 40.
Yep. And for the Lions, Cam Rayner, 18. He's starting to show a little bit of form. Still can't kick for goal, though. He sprays them. Zach Bailey, 34.
Still hasn't turned up.
Jared Berry, 62. Hugh McCluggage, 68. Dane Zorko, 84. Daniel Rich, 112. The big O, I've put the O in this time, 113. Lockie Neal, 135. And Lions, 136. That's it for that game. Jack, you have the next two games, Richmond, Melbourne, and Hawthorne, Sydney. So off you go.
Well, Richmond, Melbourne, what a weird game that was. I'm pretty sure I gave Corey a few good laughs while the game was going on. A bit of overreacting.
While we were playing 2K.
Yeah, a bit of overreacting, but thought give some laughs there while Richmond was shocking, but Melbourne was probably their worst game of the season, to be honest. They came out 22-point winners, but they kicked 22 fucking points. Like, I'm sorry, but if you come up against a team that is even half decent at the moment, because Richmond's been very poor, any team half decent, Melbourne lose that game. It's not like, obviously, like we saw Oliver scored 168. Their midfields were all over it, but their forward line was useless.
Yeah.
So yeah, Melbourne came up, won by 22. Lucky they played a shit team in Richmond. Getting in the hot, someone who's not shit, Nick Vloshun, 155.
Yeah, went big.
30 touches as a centre half back.
He's averaging 125.
Yeah, he's played 2 games and he's averaging 125. He's a fucking superstar. Nathan Broad, 123. I've spoken about him the last 3-4 weeks now. I think he's a genuine choice, a pod choice. Dylan Grimes is back this week as well, so he's gonna have the more attacking role with Short, like he usually plays, which will bring those big scores in. Talking about Short, 111. The moving tank himself, Nank, 107. Prestia, 105.
And both hamstrings are intact.
Can confirm they are. And talking about surprise rookie scores, Josh Gibkiss, absolute gun, absolutely amazing game. 18 touches, I think 10 were intercept marks, turned up with 102. People who started him and kept him will be loving life at the moment.
Yeah. I saw a few people on Twitter that were like, not going to move Gibkiss this week. I'll do it next week. And then he comes out, restarts his cash gen. So hopefully those people smart, they'll hold him because that 100 stays in his break even for a couple of weeks.
And I forgot to say as well, Robbie Curran has been confirmed out this week. Him and Cochin are both out this week because of a 5-day turnaround, and I'm guessing they're just being rested because they don't want any injuries to happen with both of their injury paths.
Yep.
So Grimes comes in for Robbie Curran, I would suggest, and Dustin Martin still is not playing this week.
Yeah, he's. I was going to say it at the end if you didn't touch on it, but they came
Thompson Dow's out for a week with a thigh injury.
Yeah. So on Dusty, they came out and said he hasn't, trained or anything for 5 weeks with the club. So this week's a no, and they'll reassess next week. So he's not too far away.
Yeah, and for Hots for Melbourne, Clary 168. We spoke about that. Ed Langdon 130. He's another sneaky. He's a mid-price midfielder, but he seems to be getting those 115 plus most weeks on that wing.
Yeah, it's just that wing role that is so hard because depending on the player, the team, and who they're versing, wing roll could be great. You could come out at 130, but then it could be a quieter game for a wingman. They'll only drop a 60. It's really tough. It's basically like picking a small forward in your midfield. They're going to have the up and down games, but he has looked really good the last year and a half, I'd say. But I don't know how that converts Supercoach wise, but just the eye test is been looking good.
Yeah, the only winger I can think of that's been very consistent with their scores in that role is Mitch Duncan. Obviously he's playing a different role now, but him every week you penciled him in for 110 plus because he was everywhere. And it looks like Ed Langdon, from what I've seen, is playing very similar to how Mitch Duncan was before his injuries. So it's a good sign for Melbourne fans and people who like risky pods.
Mitch Duncan 5 years ago was always just that pod selection every year.
Yeah.
And then he got old and his calves got shot.
Max Gawn 123. I'd like to point out that's 20 less than Jared Witts. People who said if you don't start Gawn and Grundy, you're silly. Yeah, stuff you up the Wits. Another rookie cash gen player who would have reset their cash gen, Jack Bowie 106. And then we had Hamish Brayshaw's other brother score 104. So people who brought him in because of his big 170, you'll be happy again because he turned up.
He was on my bench in draft.
Did you bring him in because of the 170?
Yes.
Colds, we've got Dow injured for a week and he scored 13 or something like that. Dan Rioli 72. People who started him, he's done well, but I would say it's time to jump ship, especially with Grimes coming back. Probably see less time on ground for him when Tarrant returns in a week's time. Bolton 38. I don't think he's an option. He kicks the goal, but he's been very quiet around the ground.
Yeah.
And then Mr. I play for 2 weeks and all bigger games. Christian Petrarca 87. He's done nothing since round 2, but just wait. There'll be some big game, Queen's birthday or something. I think Melbourne have coming up. Watch him just tear that to shreds and then be quiet till the finals again. Getting onto the break-evens, talking about Petrarca, I'm going to continue on him. Break-even of 119, no chance he's getting it. I can't see him getting it. Clayton Oliver, if you don't get him in this week, you are messing out.
Jack, Melbourne are playing Hawthorne. Petrarca's get 122.
Nah. Tom Mitchell's going to lock him down. Clayton Oliver, if you don't get him this week, you're missing out on him. His break-even's back down to 73, so he's going to jump about 50K.
Yep.
We're talking about the low cash gen coming back up. Bowie 31. People who have him will be licking their lips. Max Gawn 129. Could easily get that. Could not.
I think he gets it this week, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I think he gets it this week because he's on a reject in Max Lynch, and he's not a reject like the greatest ruckman of our generation, Jared Witts. He's a reject like, what's his name? Was it Hampson or whatever that went from Carlton to Richmond? Sean Hampson. That's who I'm comparing Max Lynch to because he's useless.
Yeah, Sean Hampson used to try and mark the ball like this.
If we just had a sports podcast, we could talk about Sean Hampson for about 6-7 hours.
Yep. 100%.
Dan Rioli, 112. That's why I say to jump ship. He could easily bounce back and ton up against the Eagles, but 112 is probably a bit of a stretch for him.
Yep.
Jaden Short, 139. I don't think he's going to get it, but, it doesn't really it's good for people who don't have him and want to bring him in. If you have him, I wouldn't worry about the break even at all because he's, I'm pretty sure, top 4 or top 5 defender at the moment.
He's definitely like top 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, you have people like Washington who's played 2 games whose average is higher, but going away from averages, he's easily top 5 for points scored.
Let's see. He's 8th for points scored. He's 12th for average. That is very surprising.
Because there's a few people like Vloshun who have jumped up with a couple big scores where he's been around that 110 spot consistently.
That's very interesting. I was not expecting that. Anyway, move on.
Talking about cash gen, Josh Gibcus is back in the negatives. -2.
Yep.
And people who kept him, like I said with Bowie, will be licking their lips. I've chucked this one in there because he just played his second game. Nick Floshune has a break even of 14. He's probably going to go up 100K with how his average is looking easily. And now getting into Hawthorne versus Sydney. Sydney won by 41 points, but I felt like Hawthorne were the better team apart from the last 5 minutes where Sydney really ran away with it.
Wasn't it like 3 points or something at 3/4 time?
Yeah. Hawthorne were all over them for most of the game. The last quarter, Sydney kind of took over, but the last 5 minutes is where the margin came from.
Luke Parker loves the 4th quarter, by the way.
Oh, yeah. If I'm a Sydney fan, it could be something to be worried about because they're not pulling out 4-quarter performances, but you're also there like, well, we're getting the result. So,
yeah, they won by 41 points in the end.
For a 5-minute effort.
Yeah.
Getting on to the hot, James Sicily, 113, and Tom Mitchell, 105. That is all for Hawthorne, believe it or not. For Sydney, I was tempted to put this man in the colds because he just wasn't that great. It was Callum Mills with a very low score of 214.
Yeah, that was one game that I missed, but I feel like he had a decent game.
Yeah, 37 touches going at 92%. Where are you, Josh Kelly? Learn how to kick. You'll be scoring these scores every week. Callum Mills, that was an amazing performance. Really.
Fun fact. Last week, I was looking to bring someone in for Horn Francis. I was like, I'll wait a week on Clary. All right, I got Brayshaw or Mills. I'll go Brayshaw. I've missed out on 110 points and he scored 104.
It's easily to say a breakout game for Mills. Will he back up with another 200? No. But he's shown that he is a top-tier midfielder. And I'm saying it now, he could be a sneaky for the Brownlow.
Ooh.
I know I went sneaky pick with Josh Kelly at the start, and I'm going to stick with it. He's not winning it. He hasn't shown out for me. But when you're looking at the Brownlow so far, Callum Mills has to be up there. Top, I'd probably put him top 3.
Yep, that's fair.
At the moment. Moving on, we can talk about Callum Mills all day like Sean Hampson. Peter Laddams, 164.
And
who
brought him in 2 weeks ago in drafts?
That guy. To be honest, I haven't checked my draft team in a while, and I just realised I've got Rowan Marshall, who's could be out, and I've got Ben McAvoy, who's out for 10 weeks.
Not great.
Yeah, nah. And I've got Petrarca, who's done nothing since round 2. Oh. So yeah, Ladham's 164. Chad Warner 113. He's having the form that he did. Was it last year or the year before when he was the rookie?
The start of last year, I believe.
Yeah. He's continued that on. Hopefully this season he can put in a full season worth and not just a quarter or half a season. And then Luke Parker, the man that I spoke about, 1 to get DPP and 2 as a lookout for him. He's got another ton.
Yep, I'm looking at him next week.
Yeah, I've been looking at him. got that one eye on him, you know, especially with English out.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the Colds, I just had to chuck this in there because I thought Aidan Bonner would be proud. Jarman Impey, 82% time on ground, 2 touches, 14 super coach. Now, look, I'm not the fittest bloke in the world. I'm not the best footballer in the world. And I think if I got 82% time on ground, I'd get at least 3 touches.
three touches and 5 meat pies after the game.
And if I'm lucky, a beer at half time.
Piss off the box of oranges, give them a 6-pack.
I'll be a combination of Strawny and that English League goalkeeper that was eating the pie at half time. Continuing on from Impey, Paddy McCartan with his concussion. Scored 44 before that, and I think he got subbed out in the second quarter.
Yes, second. It was second. He was on track for a big score.
Yeah, he was looking very good. I don't think he's an option this year. Jake Lloyd, another 70.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he is the Whitfield of the other Sydney team. You got Whitfield and you got Lloyd, the 2 plays that everyone's like, yep, they're going to be massive this year, and they've just been shit. And then to close it out, Isaac Haney, 81. Very shocked. He didn't get his plus 70 Supercoach boost for 2 goals in the last quarter like he has the last 4 weeks. And because of that, he hasn't turned up. Moving on to the break-evens. Sicily with 70. He'll get that. Josh Ward, 26. So, yeah, I didn't put Ward or McDonald in the Colds because they're consistently scoring that score now. Ward, mid-40s, McDonald, 30s. So, like, their break-evens, they're still going to make money, so that's why I've chucked them in there.
Yep.
Tom Mitchell, 92. I think he gets it.
Yep.
Connor McDonald, 24. He's another slow burner. Probably got a week or 2 left. Cal Mills 36th. Not a surprise really after a double ton. You wouldn't expect him to have a high break even after that. That's for sure. Isaac Haney's jumped to 123. So if you didn't start him and you're looking to get him in, he might drop a bit this week. Depends on his fourth quarter bonus if he gets it this week or not. Lukey Parker 54. 53, sorry. Bloody hell. He will easily get that. Paddy McCartan, he's missing the week, but I thought I'll chuck him in. He's got a break even of 44, so he's probably got a week or two left when he comes back.
Yep.
Peter Laddams minus 13 at that 465k range around there. That is gold. So he's gonna make a lot of money. And then last and should be last, Jake Lloyd 122. You usually say he gets around it. I'm saying no. I'm saying a good old 86 for Jake Lloyd.
Yep. Yeah. At the start of the season, we said he was going to be around that number one defender, averaging about 115, and he's got nowhere near that. So, one thing I did have to chat about, who was it? So the Melbourne game. Reason I think Max Gawn will get his break even is Luke Jackson is out with COVID along with a few other players.
Pickett and Sparrow.
Pickett, Sparrow, Bedford.
No, Bedford trained.
Did he?
Yeah. He tested negative and he was training today.
Oh, I thought I saw his name, but yeah. They have 5 players out. Jack Viney is another one that's out as well.
That's not awesome.
Yeah, but talking about Max Gawn, Sol Ruck against Max Lynch.
Sean Hampton 2.0
could be a very good get this week. And I don't know if you saw, James Sicily will be Hawthorne's captain until Ben McAvoy comes back. So what done to Sicily?
Good on him.
Watch him this week get suspended. So all right.
Umpire abuse asking what a free kick was for because he's the captain and he's able to now.
Yep.
Watch out, right. Toby Green. Don't ask questions or else you'll get 10 weeks again.
So I'll move on to the last game, the biggest game of the round. Bombers versus the Pies. The Mighty Pies got up by 11.
Can I just say it was probably the worst ball skills AFL game I've seen in a while for the first 3 quarters.
Wasn't great, but Collingwood kicked straight for once. So, hey.
He's been playing kick to kick. It was quite funny to watch for the average viewer. Not a fan of both teams. Obviously, it could have been frustrating at times when you were watching it.
Yep.
But gave a lot of good laugh to the average watcher who just enjoys the game, like myself.
Yep. All right, I'll move straight into the hots. So the man who had 30 touches at half time, Darcy Parish, finished 133. Funny, well, not funny, but yesterday he was in a moon boot because he hurt his ankle during the game.
Yeah.
Scans have cleared him from any serious damage. It looks like it might be a Zorko type of injury where no more damage can be done. It'll just be something he'll have to deal with for a little bit.
They said he's a slight chance to play this week.
Yeah,
he might miss.
Yeah, he should play, but yeah, they might just rest him. Zach Merritt 123, Andy McGrath 110. Mason Redman, 108, and Nick Martin, 95. He's break even. I'll get to it in a second, but it's still in the negatives, which is great. We'll move on to the Hots for Collingwood. The man that I said had a piss poor effort last week came out 129, did his PCL halfway through the third quarter, soldiered on and was one of the big reasons why we finished with the win, especially in that last quarter. Brody Grundy, so as I said, 129, but he's done his PCL. Not a complete tear. It will just heal by itself, but 10 to 12 weeks, which is heartbreaking. And there goes our season. Not that we had much of a season, but with Grundy
does that mean Cox comes back in and Darcy Cameron is number one ruck?
Yeah.
Or do you go small?
So because Kruger's done his shoulder again, we're basically forced into Cameron and Cox, especially because the guy we picked up in the mid-season drafts last year, Ash Johnson, he's still recovering from a hamstring injury. So
you don't think you might try something and go small and have a Hoskin Elliott type with my check players the tools? You reckon you go straight for Cox?
I think you go straight for Cox just because we need Roughhead, but I think Roughhead's injured, isn't he? So
yeah,
so that's another one. People are saying Darcy Moore should pinch hit in the ruck, but I don't think that's a good idea.
No. I'm only saying that because Craig McRae is used to small forward lines. When he was assistant at Richmond, and it was Jack Rewald on 5 smalls. So he might dabble in it. You obviously don't know.
Yep. Pendle's got 109. Your boy Jack, Jeremy Howe, 104. Jack Cruz,
best defender in the league.
Jack Cruz, 103, and Braden Maynard, 100. Just also, I didn't put him down here because he only scored 80, but Jack Ginnivan kicked 5 and got the Anzac Day medal. So well done to him.
He deserved it. I'm sorry, people who are complaining. His impact on the game is a lot better than what the stat sheet says.
Yep. Kicked 5 goals, which won us the game, and he didn't get 30 handballs to halftime with no meters gained.
We could go on, but Parrish's impact was very poor. Yeah, he had the stat line, but his impact was shit.
It was there in the second quarter, but the first quarter it wasn't really there, and then afterwards he had 14 touches for the second half, so he lost it there. I'll move on to the Colds. Ridley, 83. If you still have him, he has to go. Heppel.
Did you see about Ridley?
No.
He was on 66 at halftime on absolute fire, and he finished on 83.
Nice. Standard. What didn't help is we hardly kicked behind, but anyway. Heppel, 81. I'll put him next. He scored 143 last week. I've put Stringer, 61, because I hate Stringer. Ben Hobbs, 34. As we move on to the Colds for the Pies, Taylor Adams, 80. Jordan DeGoey, 76. Your boy Pat Lipinski, 61. Still side bottom.
It was 62.
No, it was 61. I got my scores off of Supercoach this time. Still side bottom, 48. Reef McInnes, 17.
No, it was 62.
Fuck off, it was 62. I swear I said 61.
I know that because he was on 63 at the end of the game, and I was like, surely he gets bumped up to 75, 80, and he got downgraded to 62.
Yeah, okay. It was 62. I was looking at Jack Madgen's score, which was 61. So Reef McInnes, 17. Not really getting into the game because he's playing deep forward. And as I said, Kruger finished with 5. Did his shoulder and he's out for the season.
Is he season?
Yep. As we
That's
move
not good.
into the break evens, after playing his second game, Ben Hobbs has a break even of -10, which hopefully this week he gets a bigger score and it drops even more.
I mean, it could, if Parrish is out, he might have a bigger role.
Yeah. Nick Martin, 2. Kane Baldwin has played 2 games now, break even 19, and he averages 35 points or 30 points, so not great. Dylan Shields, 64, Heppel, 65, Parrish, 99, Ridley, 113, and Merritt, 121. As we move over to Collingwood for the break evens, Reece McInnes, 11, Bo McCreary, 13, who's looking good. Anzac Day medalist Ginnivan, 29, Jeremy Howe, 72, Jordan De Goey, 78, Nick Dacos, 80. With Dacos, you'd be thinking 80, okay, there's not much cash gen. He's someone that you just hold to the buys anyway, just because he is a consistent 75 plus scorer, can hit close to the ton, if not the ton.
He's averaging 84.8.
Yeah, so I wouldn't worry too much about his cash at the moment. If he starts to drop 60s on a consistent basis, then I'd hop off him. But for now, I reckon you hold him till the buys. Lipinski, 91, Pendle's 106, Braden Maynard 109, Jack Crisp 113, and Taylor Adams 116. That's all I've got written down, Jack. Is there anything else you want to say, or do I just sign off?
I think we'll just sign off.
Sign off. Awesome. So that'll do us for tonight's podcast. As always, we say this at the end. Is there anyone that we did not name that you want to know the break evens for, or you have a question because you want to trade this person in, you're not sure? Let us know in the YouTube comments down below or on Twitter at the Breakevens Pod. So thank you all again for your support and for listening and watching on YouTube. Don't forget to hit us up, as I said, on Twitter, Breakevens Pod, and in the YouTube comments, the Breakevens. So good luck to everybody for round 7. And on that note, as always, until next week, it's bye for now.
See ya.